She thought she was safe. Her doors were locked, her home was quiet, and nothing seemed out of place until she smelled it. Cigarette smoke. Someone had been inside her house watching. What happens next will make you rethink everything you know about home security. Stay with us, because by the time you reach the end of the story, you'll be double-checking your locks every single night. Back in 2017, a woman settled into a picturesque home on the outskirts of a suburban area in Northern California. The location had a rural charm. No streetlights, distant neighbors, and a vast, open sky untouched by light pollution. She adored the tranquility, often stepping onto her porch at night to admire the brilliant stars overhead. Despite the physical distance from her neighbors, she had met them a few times, kind, elderly folks who valued their privacy. The neighborhood had a peaceful energy, making her feel safe and content. She had no intention of moving anytime soon. That winter, after an exhausting shift at work, she finally pulled into her driveway, barely keeping her eyes open from fatigue. As she stepped out of her car, an unusual scent hit her. Cigarette smoke. It was strange. She wasn't a smoker, and to her knowledge, neither were her neighbors. The area was quiet, with little to no traffic. The road leading to her house was only frequented by those who lived there, so who could have been smoking nearby? Thick fog blanketed the surroundings, reducing visibility to almost nothing. Even as she had driven home, her headlights had only revealed fragments of her house through the dense mist. She cast a cautious glance around but quickly dismissed the unsettling thought. The exhaustion from her long shift overpowered any sense of curiosity or concern. Deciding it wasn't worth stressing over, she stepped inside, locked the door behind her, took a hot shower, and crawled into bed, eager to sleep. A few hours later, an unusual noise jolted her awake. It was coming from the first floor. Her first thought? Her friend. A close friend of hers often used her place as a pit stop between work and classes. He had a demanding schedule, and sometimes, instead of rushing home, he'd swing by her house to freshen up. She had even given him a spare key for convenience. He always let her know before stopping by, though. A quick text, a heads up. Still groggy, she reached for her phone on the nightstand, squinting at the screen as the bright light stung her eyes. Her vision blurred momentarily, making it hard to tell if he had messaged her or not. Instead of wasting time struggling to read the screen, she called out, "Hey, you here?" Silence. She tried again, louder this time. "Hello? Is that you?" The response was immediate footsteps, heavy ones, racing across the first floor, charging up the stairs. Every nerve in her body screamed danger. She didn't hesitate. Instinct took over. She leapt out of bed and bolted for her closet just as the intruder reached the top of the stairs. The upstairs hallway had a straightforward layout. 2 bedrooms, one on the left, one on the right, and a bathroom at the end. The bathroom door was open, but both bedroom doors were closed. The intruder did not pause at the bedrooms. He ran straight into the bathroom. That momentary miscalculation gave her just enough time. Inside her closet was a crawl space leading to the attic. Heart pounding, she reached up, shoved the hatch open, and scrambled inside. As she was pulling her legs up, she heard the intruder doubling back. The bedroom door burst open. Footsteps stomped toward the closet. She barely pulled herself into the crawl space when the closet door swung wide open. From her vantage point, she couldn't see his face, only his legs. Tattered jeans, the cuffs rolled up, dirty work boots. This was not her friend. Holding her breath, she stayed still, praying he wouldn't look up and notice the open hatch. There was nowhere else to go. Her phone was still on the nightstand. She had no way to call for help. Seconds felt like an eternity. Then, without warning, the man turned away and started tearing apart her room. He flipped the bed, knocked over the dresser, opened every drawer. His frustration grew louder with every passing moment, until he let out a blood-curdling scream. That scream sent shivers down her spine. Taking a chance, she gently pushed the attic hatch back into place, sealing herself inside. For the next several hours, the house descended into chaos. She listened as the intruder stormed from room to room, slamming doors, knocking over furniture, and yelling, "Where are you? I know you're still here." He wasn't leaving. At intervals, the house would grow eerily silent, only for his footsteps to start again, slow and deliberate. Then came the whispering, "I'm gonna find you. You can't hide forever. I know you're still in here." Then the scent returned. Cigarette smoke. She covered her mouth, trying not to cough, and she prayed that he wouldn't look up, that he wouldn't find the crawl space, that somehow, someway he would just leave. And that's when the front door creaked open. Someone else had arrived, and she had no idea if they were friend or foe. As she crouched in the attic crawl space, trying to steady her breath, a horrifying realization struck her: the cigarette smoke. He had been inside her house before she even stepped through the door. That smell wasn't drifting in from somewhere nearby. It had been seeping from inside her home. He had been there, lurking in the shadows, watching her arrive. For hours, she remained frozen in place, pressed into the cramped space of the attic. The opening was obscured within her closet, hidden enough that unless someone specifically searched for it, they wouldn't know it was there. She prayed that would be enough to keep her safe. To calm her nerves, she devised a desperate plan, counting. If she could reach 1,000 without hearing any movement, any noise, any whispered threats, then maybe, just maybe, it would be safe to come out. But every time she reached 200, sometimes even less, she would hear it. A low whisper, a sudden crash, a knock on the walls. Each time, her heart would race, and she'd have to start over. All night long, she counted, until, finally, at what must have been 5 or 6 in the morning, she made it to 1,000 uninterrupted silence. The house had grown eerily still. Summoning every ounce of courage, she slowly slid the wooden panel away from the crawl space entrance. Peeking through the gap, she could see glimpses of her bedroom below. Shards of broken glass littered the floor. Her belongings were scattered everywhere. The room was unrecognizable, and the intruder, nowhere in sight. She hesitated, listening for any sign that he was still there. Nothing. Then, in one swift motion, she wriggled out of the attic, dropped onto the wreckage of her room, and sprinted for her phone. Her bed had been flipped over, holes had been punched into the walls, furniture was shattered, but none of that mattered. She grabbed her phone and rushed back into the attic before even unlocking it. Hands trembling, she dialed 911. She spoke in a whisper, barely breathing the words, terrified that if he was still inside, he would hear her. "Someone broke into my house. I don't know if he's still here." The dispatcher responded immediately, calm but urgent. "Stay where you are. Officers are on their way." Minutes felt like an eternity. Then sirens. Through the thin attic walls, she heard the front door creak open and heavy boots stepping inside. "Police! If anyone's here, come out now." Voices echoed through the house, followed by the sound of officers clearing each room. When they called out her name, she finally allowed herself to breathe. The nightmare was over. She emerged from the attic, shaken but alive, and met the officers. The house had been completely ransacked. Every drawer emptied, every cabinet torn apart, every room destroyed. But what the police told her next made her stomach drop. Near the kitchen, scattered across the house, officers found several sharp kitchen objects missing from the butcher block, strewn about, lodged into walls, buried in furniture. It was clear the intruder had been armed, and he had been hunting her. It wasn't just a break-in, it was an attempt to find her. One officer looked at her and shook his head. If you hadn't hidden in that attic, she didn't need to hear the rest. For 3 more years, she tried to stay in the house. She told herself she could move past it, that the walls, the locks, the security cameras, they would keep her safe. But the truth was unavoidable. She never felt safe again. The creeping paranoia, the nightmares, the fear that someone was watching, it became unbearable. Eventually, she packed up and left. And what she learned from that night has haunted her ever since. We assume we're safe inside our homes. We lock our doors, install cameras, trust that our walls will keep danger out. But those barriers, They only deter the honest people. The ones who mean harm, they don't care about breaking a window. They don't hesitate to force their way in. And when the moment comes, when evil stands at your doorstep, the only thing that truly matters is how prepared you are. Because in the end, the only thing between you and a nightmare is a plan. She made it out alive, but the truth is, not everyone does. And the scariest part? The intruder had been inside before she even walked through the door. This is a terrifying reminder that danger doesn't always knock. It sometimes lets itself in. What would you have done in her situation? Let us know in the comments. And if you love spine-chilling stories like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got more real-life nightmares coming your way, and trust me, you won't want to miss them.